Hello there, this is Michael from Make It WordPress and I'm on the quest to find the best of WordPress, and today I'm going to look into Hostinger. And Hostinger is a hosting company which also offers WordPress hosting and thus can run your WordPress website pretty well. I think so, but that's what I'm going to test, and in this video I'll be logging in to Hostinger, I'll discuss them, we'll be adding a WordPress website, I will discuss the features, the pricing, the performance, how my experience with the support was, and also how easy it was to use the platform. So, without further ado, let's go ahead. So here we are at the hosting website, and let's just have a brief preview into the features of Hostinger. And because we are focused on WordPress, we'll be looking at the WordPress section of Hostinger. Basically, the WordPress hosting is kind of similar to the shared and cloud hosting, with some optimizations for WordPress. Well, Hostinger is built on Lightspeed and using Google Cloud. And Lightspeed is a technology to run a server, and basically it means good performance in most cases. And I will talk about it later in this video. If Hostinger also is having a good performance. They have 4 main subscriptions starting from just $2 a month. It's actually more expensive if you don't commit for a long term. Nevertheless, there are some variations between all the packages. You can have 1 or 100 or even 300 websites. You have certain amounts of storages, and all of these packages are meant for a certain amount of visits. All packages include SSL. And the cool thing is that if you have this WordPress, you'll be having a wizard to start up your WordPress installation. And there are some more features, including some optimizations, some caching, which is technology to make your website faster. There'll be CLIs installed on this server, which is a technology that mainly WordPress developers use. Of course, you need a database to run WordPress. And furthermore, for the Pro subscription, you can have Jetpack Personal, and Jetpack is a well-known plugin of WordPress. And there are some couple of other things, such as daily backups, which are not included in the smaller packages, actually. Quite interesting. Let's just scroll a bit down to see more detailed features of all these plans. And as you can see, bandwidth is limited. You have a lot of storage, and you can have a lot of websites. And one thing you need to be aware of with these hosting companies is that they can be really nice, but there are always limits. And these limits are the number of inodes, which basically reflects the number of files you can have on your account. And if you have a really big WordPress website with many plugins, this can grow quickly. And also, if you scroll down a bit, the size of your database, if you have a really large website, this can be larger than the amount here. And also the CPU cores and RAM indicate the performance of your website, how fast it will be and how many visitors it can actually handle. Same counts for the empty process and active processes. So basically these are the limits of your website, and I cannot pinpoint a hard figure to it, but it's good to know before we dive into logging into the platform that these are the kind of features you will have. Of course, you can browse through the features yourself and see what's there. For developers, it's also interesting to know that there's a Git link and you can manage your cron jobs. But let's look how that looks like on the back end. So I will just be logging in. So there we are. This is the screen you will get when you log in. It's quite clear and neatly designed. There on the top you see the various sections of Hostinger. Your homepage, the hosting page. You can manage your emails and your emails, register new domains, add in servers, manage your SSL certificates, and also there's a website builder, billing, help, and store section. Furthermore, on the right you see the latest notifications, and also you can change your account settings. So Let's go to the hosting part, and if you click on hosting, you can see the active sites that are running on your account, and it's a bit different than here because here you only see one site, and here you can see all the sites. And by clicking on manage, you can manage these websites. And what I want to do now is to go to the process of adding a new WordPress website, and it's quite simple. You just need to click on add new website. So I actually don't want to add on a www, but on a subdomain, and then it's already pretty hard to add this website. So as you can see, it's already a bit confused. What do I need to do now? Because I'm in a different screen here. Here I can see my website. Here I'm in the domain section, and for this video, I want to add a website to a subdomain of a domain I already have elsewhere. So let's add it. I will be adding it to the test domain and create, and there we are. We now have a subdomain, and the odd thing is we don't need to add our website here, but we go to WordPress, or we go to website and then to auto installer. And then we can select WordPress. We can also select WooCommerce plus WordPress, which will install WordPress with WooCommerce, the plugin for running a web shop, and some other of these applications. But let's go for WordPress. And here we can select the subdomain and even put it in a folder. So let's just enter. Now it should work. And it took some time, but here we are. If you now click on this link, I can see that connection is not secure, so it actually failed to install the SSL. And for that, I need to go to SSL and set it up here and install it. And if you now reload the page, it will work. Now we have installed WordPress on this subdomain on hosting, and as you can see, it was pretty easy, but also a bit confusing. If you have a main domain, it's a bit more easy because you can just add an existing website and don't use the auto installer and just add your website under here. But for the sake of this exercise, just let's log in. And there we are. This is the backend of the WordPress installation installed by Hostinger, and as you can see, there are a lot of options here because by default Hostinger installs all these plugins which can help your website to improve in Google, to migrate your website to Hostinger, to have Google Analytics so you can see your visitor statistics, to to have forms on your website so people can enter their details, which is to have forms on your website so people can have a contact form and contact you and search. And also the Lightspeed Cache plugin, and this is something that helps speed up your website. So this is the basic installation that Hostinger adds to your WordPress installation, and you may want to have a whole different configuration. These are kind of nice plugins depending on your use case, but essentially Lightspeed Cache is the most important plugin to have. And let's go back to our panel. If you go to hosting and click on manage domains, such as this website manage, you will be arriving at this dashboard, and you can actually manage this main website, make it WordPress, and all subdomains you define under this website. And you will first get this screen with a lot of options. As you can see, we can manage our WordPress installation. In this case, you can switch between the host and the test. These are the two installations we installed. The test we just installed. We can enforce HTTPS, flush the cache. Also set up maintenance mode. So the website. So as you can see now it's in maintenance mode. You can also switch it off. Updates are enabled. Light speed is on. Hostinger offers a service for additional security, which you can install, which is called patch tag. If you click on install, it will install a plugin and also give some additional security monitoring. Furthermore, SSL is enabled for this installation. And you can also set up Cloudflare for an additional fee, which is good if you have visitors from all over the world visiting your website and want to have a more strict security. The thing is that this costs money, while a lot of competitors offer this for free, which is kind of odd. Let's just click on patch tag. This is a feature in which you can see different security statistics on your WordPress installations. And again, if you want to get the most out of it, that you need to upgrade to Pro of patch tag and have another paid account. Nevertheless, I think it's a nice feature to have additional security, but it will cost additional money. And as you can see in here, the patch tag plugin is also installed here. You can also see the plugins that are installed on this installation and also deactivate them from this panel, which I think is quite nice. So for example, we can just deactivate them. And you shouldn't do that too fast because you can only do one at a time. And then again, if I reload this page, you can see that these plugins are deactivated. Furthermore, there's a link to the admin environment and it will redirect you to the admin environment where we just were. So I think this is a pretty neat design, a neat panel to manage your WordPress website. The kind of odd thing is that I can switch website here and website here. So these settings are on multiple places, which is a bit weird. Furthermore, this is the basis of managing WordPress with Hostinger. There's also a feature for managing your database in here, and that will open up phpMyAdmin, and this is the editor for a database. And if you're a bit technical, you may know it already. Let's close it down again. It's very useful for developers. Let's now briefly go through all the tabs you will see at Hostinger. There's an order tab in which you can see the current usage of your package. It takes some time to load, but as you can see, there's not that much load. In the morning, I did some load testing, and as you can see, I had some usage of the processor. And you also can see that had a large number of requests in the morning because I did some performance testing as well. I think it's pretty nice to have these statistics and see how much you were using. It's also possible to renew your hosting plan here. I'm on a monthly plan, just testing it out. You can upgrade it here. I'm already on the WordPress Pro plan, which is basically similar to the cloud hosting plan, but then geared toward WordPress. If I click on view plans, I can just upgrade with the click of a button, which is great. And at last, you can set the main of this order, and it is basically the name of your hosting account name, and doesn't really have that much influence. Well, you can manage accounts in here. The name servers, which are used for the DNS, where your websites are at. And I don't have my website here, but when you register, you need to define a website. So you can either register then a domain at Hostinger, which I think is great, that you can register a domain. such as make it work.press at Hostinger, and then put your website directly on it. And you will also have email, for which the login details are here, and also you also have FTP, so you can access the files of the website using a special FTP program. Speaking about emails, including in Hostinger are email accounts, and you can add emails for the main domains you have configured. In this case, it's Make It WordPress or test.make it WordPress. It's very easy. You can just create it and add it here and then just create. If you want to have better email support and a more extensive email, you can also opt for email hosting, and that's separate from your hosting account and just have email. But email is also included. However, there are some limits. For the single account, you can only have one email address, and for the larger accounts, you can have up to 100 email addresses. You can also set up forwarders, so that means that if someone emails at a certain address, it will be forwarded to another email. You can have catch all emails. That means that you all the emails that are sent to an address that doesn't exist. So, for example, non-existing address at Make It Work.press will be sent to another address. Furthermore, you can set up autoresponders if you're on holidays. You can change your MX records. I don't have a domain at Hostinger, so it doesn't count for me. But if you have your domain at Hostinger, this will automatically work like it should. And there is a mail service control service, which uses send mails. So all your forms and all your mails originating from a website will also be sent, which I think is great. All right, let's move on to domains. And we briefly touched on the domains. If you want to have subdomains, you need to add them under subdomains. You can also park domains if you have registered any domain in here. It's out of the scope of this video to talk about name servers and how that works. But if you have registered a domain elsewhere, you can point the name servers to Hostinger, and then all things will work out of the box. Otherwise, you need to configure records manually if you know what it is, but I won't bother you with that. You can add a website in here, and actually you need to enter a full domain here, and that allows you to add additional websites under this domain. For example, I can add the .com domain and now add some random password and add it. This again will take some time, but what it will do, it will create a new folder. You can also set up redirects from one domain to another domain. So I can say, for example, for this test domain /redirect, I want it to redirect to my site. Because this domain is pointing, so if we'll be entering this, it will then redirect to my site, and that works beautifully, as you see. Very easy to set up. And at last, you can also add Cloudflare, and including with the hosting subscriptions are a couple of Cloudflare activations. You can choose a domain where you can set it up and install it. I already have my domains on Cloudflare externally, so this won't work, but it's good to see that it's there. And again, Cloudflare is a service to speed up your website globally and to have additional security. Well, we have seen the website tab and the auto installer, which makes it very easy to install WordPress. If it would be the first time you'll have an account at Hostinger, you will have a beautiful wizard, which will go step by step to the process of installing a website. Otherwise, you will have this installer. It's also possible to import a website, and that the files of this website will then be extracted to a folder on your server or on your account. You can also migrate websites and submit a migration. You need to file a migration request where you want to migrate your website to. So, for example, to this domain, which is registered at the hostinger, and then you need to select your previous hosting provider and so forth. So I think it's a pretty neat feature as well. It's also possible to migrate from other panels as well. Very great feature. And as you can see, makeitworkpress.com is also added here, and like I said, it was already in use. Furthermore, you can set default error pages for error codes. So what happens if someone looks up a page at your website that is not found, for example, or has a programming error? There are some links to other services which can help you to code. Improve your SEO, which basically means improve your website to show up in search engines. This also is an additional purchase, so they do a lot of upselling with additional services, but these services can help to improve your business and get more visitors. The digital marketing and business services link to Fiverr, which is a service where you can hire someone to do marketing for you or business services. Then we have the files tab, which has a file manager, which is an in-browser manager by which you can manage basically all your domains. And as you can see, I have two main domains in here, or basically two sites to make it WordPress, and then the follow test will be the test domain, and I also have a separate site which is host.makeitWordPress, and it has its own files and folders. Speaking about that, if I would be adding a website in here using the auto installer, I can now select. I should be able to select. This is a bit confusing. I wanted to add a new website to makeitwordpress.com. I first need to switch here to this environment, and then to the auto installer, and then I can add it to here. If I would like to add it on a subdomain, I first then need to add a subdomain in the domains and then add it. And I can just add anything, add a title, and install it. And it will go through the same installer. Well, let's go back to the file manager. Again, in here, I would be looking at the file manager for makeitwordpress.com. So as you can see, the switcher on the top is important. It allows you to switch between the various websites you have. And as you can see, you can also have a subdomain as a separate website and have main domains. Speaking about that, it's also possible to have backups. You can have a daily backup if you're on the pro or business account, and otherwise it will cost you some money. So these are not free if you're going for the single or starter subscription. At last, you can change your FTP account, and an FTP account is basically an account that allows you to connect to the server using a special program. So it's more easy to edit your files. It's mainly used by professionals and editors to change the software that is running on a server. Furthermore, you can see all the databases that are in use, and these are automatically added by the WordPress installer, as you have seen before in the video. And it's also possible to enter the database manager in here by clicking on Enter PHP MyAdmin. And as you can see, we now have the database manager, and we can change our database. Pretty useful if you want to change these kind of things and destroy your site if you change the wrong thing. Nevertheless, it's a powerful feature, but you need to know what you're doing. Furthermore, it's possible to set up remote MySQL, so you can add a database connection from another server and use the database of Hostinger. Also a more advanced feature, but very useful. Then I wanted to briefly go through some of the other settings. It's possible to change your DNS zones in here. These are the settings for the domain. Possible to change your PHP configuration, which includes the version of PHP, and PHP is the software WordPress runs on, and in this case you want to have a version that's quite high, but WordPress is not ready yet for PHP 8. You can also set up the extensions and options. I won't go into detail. Cron jobs are jobs that are recurring, for example, daily or hourly or monthly, and you can set them up here. If you're using WordPress, WordPress has its own cron job mechanism, but it doesn't work really well always, and this is a good solution to make it work better. Furthermore, developers would love the possibility that they can access over SSH and then manage some things with the command line. Again, an advanced feature. It's also possible to get some info on the PHP. This is basically all the PHP settings displayed in a big file. So you can see what's always set up for PHP. You can change how the cache is working. The cache is technology to speed your website. And furthermore, it's also possible to connect your Git repository. And Git is a system to actually develop software in a more controlled manner and also make it easier to collaborate on developing software. And you can connect a repository, or in hosting is the word a repository, funny enough, from somewhere else. So from GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. Oh, I see GitLab isn't supported, but at least GitHub or Bitbucket to Hostinger, and then you can make it push to a certain folder on your server. Very useful if you're developing using Git and want to connect it to a server on Hostinger. And at last, you can also manage SSL in this tab. So it's funny, you can manage emails and SSL here, but also in the tab emails and SSL. Last, there are some other functionalities. You can deactivate account, reset your account, put a password for some directories. So you can put a password, for example, for a certain directory. For example, let's put a password for this directory. And then it will, if I go to test/wp/content, it will have a password. If I fill this in, it works very easy. Let's just make it very simple. Oh, again, they have a great password check. And then if I would be going to this, it is password protected, as you can see. Let's delete it. Well, furthermore, there are a couple of other things I want to show you. Hot link protection. And hot link protection is a kind of feature that blocks other parties from using your images and your bandwidth. So, for example, if you have a really great site with great images, I can just copy that image and place it on my website, but still keep the reference to your server. So when visitors visit my website, your images will be loaded from your server, and it will eat your bandwidth away. And with hot link protection, you can evade that thing and also save some precious bandwidth. There's a folder index manager in which you can see what the main directory and indexing is for your folders. You can fix file ownership. File ownership is a file feature of your server, and sometimes these are not set correctly, and it can give errors if on websites. Won't go into detail. There's activity logs in which you can see all the things that happened. Great to see, because there's also an access manager on Hostinger which allows you to add other users and give them access to your website, and you can reset your account and deactivate the account. Well, enough about all these features. I've already been talking quite long, so let's look into emails. Again, here you can manage your emails. I think if you want to have emails on other domains, you need to add another plan. It's a bit of a bummer. and you can manage it here. You will be thrown back to like, this kind of interface. Furthermore, you can register domains. So I don't have anything registered, but I can just click on get my domain and then search for it and add it to my cart, and then it will be added in here. I'm using another service for that, but I think they are priced quite well. Domains on Hostinger are not the cheapest, but also not the most expensive. Furthermore, it's also possible to buy a server at Hostinger. These are for the more advanced developers or professionals. If you want to have your own server, you can buy them and do a lot of nice things. You can manage SSL in here, which we did already before. There's a website builder, and because we're focusing on WordPress, I won't be focusing on that, but they have a website builder, which makes it very easy to make your website using Hostinger. Last, you can see your billing details. And when you need to renew, there is a help section and also a store. So these are basically the main features of Hostinger. There's one thing I want to show you, and that is account sharing, which is a setting in which you can give other users additional access. So I can give them access to certain websites, for example, this website. And then I have access to this website and can manage all the things there. Really great if you're collaborating or want to give certain people access to certain parts or certain websites. You can see your account activity again in here, and you log in. And also you can set up two-factor authentication and of course change your account information. So basically this is Hostinger, and now I want to briefly talk about the performance. And for the performance, I go to my website because there is a useful feature in which I can compare the performance. I'll just be going to compare WordPress hosting, and this is the review I also wrote for Hostinger. This is an extensive review in which I describe everything that Hostinger is offering, which we saw in this video, and also the performance. And I did do some performance testing, and it's not as good as the other providers, as you can see. This setting, this graph is showing the maximum amount of visitors a website can handle, and the loading time of the website is still within the 2 seconds barrier. And Hostinger Pro, which is the subscription I could do testing for, is on the bottom part. It can only handle 30 simultaneous visitors, while A2 Hosting Turbo Max can handle up to 31,000 visitors. That's a lot more. Even the AccuWeb Hosting Personal can handle a lot more visitors. So that's a bit disappointing. Again, if you go to users, if you go to uncached users, and that if we turn all the performance optimizations that Hosting offers off, we also see that Hostinger is in the on the average bracket. There are some parties that are better, but they're doing somewhat better in here. Actually, I just started testing these companies, so you won't see a lot of them in here yet. There's also a benchmark which is for WordPress and tests how many queries per second this hosting subscription can handle, and for this, Hostinger is in the middle bracket, which is kind of okay. But the most important test is the cache performance. And Hostinger is doing very bad here. It basically means that if your blog post is going viral, your server won't hold. So I'm not sure about the performance of Hostinger. Some figures are good and some other figures are not so good. And I think that's a thing that needs to be improved out of the box. I'm always testing out of the box performance. Of course, I can do a lot of manual performance optimizations myself, but then it's not out-of-the-box performance that a regular user can do. To give a big picture, I can compare WordPress. I can compare all the parties I tested. These are a lot of different different kinds of setups, and you see that Hostinger Pro is on the bottom for the most important test, in my opinion. So performance-wise, I'm not sure. It's doing okay, but it cannot handle a lot of visitors. So let's move back to the panel of Hostinger itself. And I already discussed this in features, but what I do like is how Hostinger looks like compared to comparable providers. They're not using something called cPanel, and I think everything looks beautiful designed. I really like the way things are set up and how you can manage your website. Having said that, the process of adding a website is still a bit confusing, I think. Because, well, I'll be first arriving at this screen, then if you click on dashboard, the screen will again be changed, and then I have a menu in here. Then if I want to add a website, I would be going to website and auto installer, and then I would like to install this, but then I can only install it on the domains I already specify. So I need to go back to domains first and then add a website or a domain that I wanted to add this website to. And if I want to add a website to a different domain, I first need to switch here to this other website. So that is a bit confusing sometimes, I think. But in general, the platform is really well designed and it looks beautiful, and it's much easier to use than some of the other panels I tested. Then I also had some brief contact with support. What I really do like is that they have very clear knowledge base with most of the website, frequent questions, so to say, and they also have a live chat functionality, and I had some contact with them before, so you can also see my previous conversations, and I had really some good conversations with the support. I also did some tests, some technical tests. I answered some technical questions, and they answered them quite well. One thing that but bothered me is that the reaction time is a bit slow. So this is live chat, but if you're sending an initial message, it can take up to 30 minutes before you get the first reaction. And for live chat, that's a bit slow. If you are just sending an email or a ticket, of course, then it will be fast. But for live chat, that is slow. And again, if you're in contact, then the conversations, in my experience, were good. Furthermore, I just want to show. I just want to go back to the pricing page and briefly talk about the pricing, which is the latest part of this video. Let's go to here. Well, they have 4 subscriptions, and all these prices are actually, if you commit for a much longer time. So this is not really expensive, and I think for what you get, it's great value. But then I need to commit for 3 years. No, 4 years. So that's a long time. And then if it renews, the price is doubled. So this is really cheap for the kind of hosting you will be getting for 4 years. But then again, it will be a double amount when you renew. And I'm used to hosting where you pay even per hour. So these kind of subscriptions are new to me. If you just opt for 1 month, it is a lot more expensive. Compared to some of the competitors, Hostinger is slightly more expensive, but it isn't really a big difference. And especially if you're going for the long term, I think it is a good offer, and you'll have great value, and you can even put your spare Bitcoins into Hostinger if you want and if you have them. Nevertheless, I hope you liked this video, and I think it was quite elaborate, so I hope it wasn't too elaborate for you and it highlighted all the things you needed to see. If you're opting for Hostinger, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, and thank you for watching. Have an amazing day.